Alex, I was looking at this plastic bracket I printed last night, and it occurred to me we've spent years treating 3D printers like high tech hot glue guns that make trinkets for the dashboard. But things are changing. It's not just about making little green Yoda heads anymore.
Speak for yourself. My desk is a graveyard of test prints that look like melted modern art. But I see where you're going. You're talking about that peak material in the news, right?
Exactly, polyether ether ketone. It's a mouthful, but the stuff is basically the Terminator of polymers. I saw a report from All3DP Pro. This stuff can take heat that would turn a standard PLA roll into a puddle of goo before you could even reach for the fire extinguisher. We're talking aerospace grade. You could probably bolt a piece of this to an engine block and it wouldn't blink.
Okay, but isn't peak notoriously finicky? I've heard you need a printer that basically doubles as a pizza oven just to get it to stick.
Oh, it's a temperamental beast. It's like trying to 3D print with a stubborn mule. You need an enclosed chamber that stays hotter than a Georgia porch in July. But the heavy-duty shift is real. Look at this R3 printing crowd out of LA. They just dropped a $30,000 disruptor.
30 grand? Tiger, I could buy a very nice used truck or, I don't know, a lifetime supply of lumber for 30 grand. Who is that for?
It's for the folks who are tired of being handcuffed by the big enterprise brands. It's liquid-cooled, open material. It's for the shop that wants to burn through high-performance resin without a corporate rep over their shoulder telling them which certified filament they're allowed to buy. It's a made-in-the-USA middle finger to restricted systems.
I like the rebellious spirit. But for the rest of us, the ones who aren't trying to build satellites in our garages, Bamboo Lab is having those anniversary sales. The P2S and that H2C with the nozzle swapper, are those actually worth the hype or is it just shiny object syndrome?
I hate to admit it because I'm a tinkerer who likes to suffer, but those bamboo machines just work. They're like those fancy German coffee makers. You press a button and it delivers. If you're a DIYer looking to stop fixing your printer and start using it, that sale through July 15th is a rare chance to keep a few extra 20s in your pocket.
Fair enough. Although, if we're talking about things that actually never break, we should probably talk about the guys who join metal for a living. I was looking at the American Welding Society's update for June. It seems like the ceiling in welding is a lot higher than people realize.
Alex, it's a cathedral ceiling if you've got the right paperwork. Most people think welding is just getting dirty in a booth for 40 hours a week. But the AWS is pushing the inspector and engineer paths, the CWI and swing.
So, moving from the guy holding the torch to the person telling the guy with the torch he missed a spot?
That's the cynical way to put it. But seriously, if you want to protect your knees and triple your paycheck, becoming a certified welding inspector is the move. It's the difference between doing the work and being the authority on the work. There's a recertification course coming up in Chattanooga in 2026. Sounds like a long way off, I know, but in the trades, if you let your certs lapse, you're basically a ghost.
You always say, well, you don't always say it, but you've mentioned before that planning is the part of the job that actually makes the money.
It really is. I've seen some of the best fabricators I know get sidelined because they forgot to track their continuing education credits. It's like building a beautiful house and forgetting to pay the property taxes. You've got to look 18 months out. If you're a veteran inspector, put Chattanooga on your calendar. Go for the 80-hour course, get your credits, and keep your seat at the table.
Speaking of keeping your seat at the table, let's talk about the Maker Mogul Corner. I read about Eli Mash and his coffee brand, Maycor. $100,000 in revenue in the first year with zero outside funding.
Zero. That's the magic number.
While raising 3 kids and working a day job. Tiger, be honest. Is he a wizard or is he just not sleeping?
He's definitely not getting the recommended 8 hours, I'll tell you that. But what Eli did is the purest form of bootstrapping I've seen lately. He didn't try to sell coffee to everyone. He sold anti-inflammatory coffee to people who have specific health needs. He found a niche so thin you could shave with it, and he sat in it until it grew.
It's that side hustle nation philosophy, right? Finding the gap between what people need and what the big corporations are too slow to provide.
Right on the money. You don't need a venture capitalist in a silk suit to tell you your idea is good. You need a dirty garage, a clear plan, and the grit to reinvest every nickel back into the pot. Most people fail because they buy a boat the second they see a profit. Eli just kept brewing. It's about building a flywheel, not a flash in the pan.
Let's bring it back to the workshop floor. I saw a DIY project recently involving a metal shed made of reclaimed materials. It looked rustic. Pinterest level rustic.
Rustic is often code for, I didn't have a plan, and I'm hoping the rust looks intentional. But that specific project was a masterclass in scavenging. There's a deep, primal satisfaction in putting a roof over your tools that didn't cost you a dime at the big box store.
But isn't there a danger there? I saw another viral video of a guy building a deck with zero structural support because he felt it was strong enough.
My heart stops when I see those. Just because you can weld two pieces of scrap together or stack three pallets doesn't mean you've built something that won't give your insurance agent a heart attack. If you're doing a backyard build, especially with reclaimed metal, you have to prep it properly. You can't just slap a rusted sheet of tin on a frame and call it a day. You got to treat the edges, check the structural integrity, and for the love of all that is holy, sketch it out first.
Sketch twice, cut once?
Precisely. And while we're on the subject of finishes, did you see the bit about the concrete countertops?
Oh, the foam roller debate. I didn't realize people felt so strongly about foam density.
It's the difference between a mirror and a sponge, Alex. I remember the first time I sealed a concrete slab. I grabbed the first roller I saw in the bin, probably a cheap, fluffy one meant for a bedroom wall. I rolled that sealer on, and I kid you not, it looked like I'd lathered the thing in shaving cream. Bubbles everywhere. Micro pitting that I had to sand out for 3 days.
I bet your dry wit wasn't very dry that afternoon.
I was about as salty as a pretzel. The lesson, high-density foam rollers. They don't trap air. They lay that sealer down like a sheet of glass. It's a $5 tool that saves a $500 project. That's the kind of stuff they don't. Well, let's just say you usually have to mess it up yourself to appreciate the advice.
So, what's the big takeaway for today? Between the $30,000 printers and the anti-inflammatory coffee, where do we land?
I think it's about the level up, whether you're upgrading your shop to Print Peak or you're finally signing up for that AWS certification to turn your job into a career, or you're just choosing a better roller for your countertop. Excellence isn't an accident. It's a deliberate choice to stop settling for good enough and start chasing the pro version of whatever it is you do.
And maybe checking your ego before you start a structural project with no drawings.
Especially that. If you're listening to this and you've been sitting on a project or a certification because it feels too big, take the first step. Research the course, buy the better roller, reinvest the first $50 you make.
And if you want the blueprints for that reclaimed shed or the study guides for the welding certs, we've got all of that over at the TigerDen site.
We sure do. Don't be afraid to get your hands dirty, but keep your head in the game. Stay scrappy, folks. Keep building.
See you in the shop, Tiger.